Mumbai-based gang of 5 people was offered a drug consignment worth 5 crores by a corrupt police officer from Bangalore. The stuff had to be picked up from Bangalore against a payment of 2.5 crores. It's a 100% profit venture. One of the members, Shiva, was entrusted with the job of transferring the money to Bangalore by train. The youngest member, Vikram, decided to intercept this transfer and take the money by making Shiva unconscious using chloroform. The plan was successful till the unexpected ending where Shiva gets killed. This was a scene happening in a cramped compartment of a fast moving train. There was no dialogue in the entire scene, and it was night. I had to think of an out of box cinematographic treatment to make the scene memorable. The story behind the exciting and thrilling train sequence from 2007 thriller JOHNNY GADDAR, directed by Sriram Raghavan. The first question was, how do I bring the feeling of a fast moving train? The train is going from Mumbai to Bangalore. Outside the window, it is just darkness. There is no moving landscape. Without a moving landscape through the window, how do you create the feeling of a fast moving train? How many days will we have to shoot on a train? It's expensive to hire a running train. Or should we make a set? These were the questions that bothered me for weeks while prepping for the film in 2005. Me and the direction team did many recce's during the time. We traveled in trains many times to figure out the logistics of the shoot. But for many days, I couldn't figure out the solution to issues which were bothering my mind. I believe planning is a very important aspect in filmmaking. If it's a big budget film, obviously we need lots of planning. If it's a small budget film, planning required is even more because that is the only way you can save money without making any compromise in the making of the film. Film budget should be done in a planned way. There should be specific allocations for particular parts of the script, scenes, or a design. This should derive after detailed discussions with every concerned department so that you will come to know about the complexities involved in a scene. I think the lack of scientific disciplined planning in filmmaking still plagues our film industry. This is mainly because of a lack of film production education in India. There is no formal education in India for film production. Not just film production, many other departments don't have formal education. For example, costume design. It's entirely different from fashion design or apparel design. You are defining a character by making him or her wear certain type of clothes. You need to know how to design that. Makeup, it's different from bridal or beauty makeup. It's again defining or detailing a character. It plays a big role in converting an actor into a character. There are many other areas where we don't have formal education. Action, choreography, music design, the list goes on. The film schools, barring very few, don't have a detailed film production course in their curriculum. The management schools don't have film production in their curriculum either. The elements of film production vary drastically from other industrial productions. So the MBA holders from these management schools do not fit in a film production company. And moreover, the film industry is still not considered as a respectable industry or a decent job avenue for most of the MBAs coming from reputed institutions. Most of the management team of a film production company reaches that position by climbing the ladder of film production in the industry. Throughout their career, they were trained in reducing expenditure. So they bargain with every expenditure without understanding the importance of the scene or the expenditure. They were never trained in finding out the areas where they should spend money and where they should not. This understanding should come from the knowledge about scripts, the way the film should be made, target audience, marketing possibilities, technological developments, etc. In short, a production team should have a thorough understanding of the filmmaking process both in art and business, and not just in the expenditure process. The lack of this knowledge affects the quality of most of our films. The two main areas of concerns were, in this particular film, one, how do I make the audience feel the movement of the train if it is not seen through the window? Is there any other way? Two, what kind of cinematographic design I'll bring into a scene like this? When I start working on a scene or a film, I start thinking about what are the essential elements required for that particular scene. Here in this scene, the basic mood is suspense. So I need to bring cinematic elements which will highlight suspense and thrill. So every element of cinematography should be designed in such a way that they enhance this particular mood suspense. Over the time, I had somewhat designed the look of the film. I had an idea about the color scheme, composition, the method of shooting, etc. But I couldn't figure out what to do with this train sequence. I wanted the scene to have a stylistic approach. I was looking for an idea to start my design process. The Ducky trips reminded me of my film school days. While I was studying at FTIA Pune in the 80s, every vacation I would travel to my hometown in Kerala and back to the film school. The journey used to be 36 hours, 2 consecutive nights in a train. When you reach the destination and try to sleep, you feel that the body is still moving as if it's in a train. It is a small game your brain plays with you. The brain makes a small program to counter the movement of the continuous movement of the train to reduce the discomfort of this continuous movement. This program keeps working for some more time even after you get off the train. That's why you feel the hangover of the movement. I wanted to bring this hangover as a style element in the scene. For that, I have to create a rhythmic movement in the frame. Just by putting the camera in a compartment and shooting, I'm not going to get this feel. If I put a camera on a tripod, put it on the floor of a train and shoot a person sitting in front of it, you will not get this move, you will not see this movement in the frame. It's because the camera is placed on the same floor as the person, and all the three, the camera, the actor and the floor of the train, are moving together. Here the camera is moving along with the person in sync because both are connected to the same floor, which is giving them the movement. There is no relative movement difference, so you will not perceive the movement in the frame. This is what bothered me for days. How to get this movement in the frame? The first hint of the solution came during one of the train journeys. I was standing at one end of the compartment, looking at the other compartment through the vestibule. Vestibule is the corridor connecting two compartments through a loose connector. The two compartments are free to move independently to a certain extent. When I was looking at the other compartment, I could see that compartment was shaking very vigorously. It was scary to cross over through the vestibule and go to that compartment. Why is my compartment steady compared to that one? Both the compartments are running on the same rails. I decided to cross over to the other compartment. When I look back at the one I was standing earlier, it surprised me. Now the one I stood earlier is moving violently compared to the one I was standing. That was the first hint to my solution. I got my first design element for the scene, and that too a good one: movement. Movement is relative. The movement you perceive is relative displacement. We feel the earth is static and the sun is moving around it. In reality, the earth is moving, but we don't realize it. Movement is relative displacement. I realized both compartments are moving in the same manner. Out of the visual movement I see, half of the movement come from the compartment where I am standing, which means if I incorporate the movement of the compartment, the X, Y, Z axis movement into my camera support system, I'll be able to get some amount of the train movement in my image. Confused? I'll explain again. Suppose the compartment is rock steady and the camera is making all the movements which the train would be making in all X, Y and Z axis. I'll still be able to recreate the train movement in my image. If I design a support system which can make minor movements in all three directions at the same time and put the camera on that system, I'll be able to replicate the train movement in my frame. This was a major breakthrough. I realized movement is my design solution. Now, how to do it? Various options came to my mind. Me and my team started our discussions. First one was shooting with the camera on my shoulder instead of using a tripod. It will give me movement in my frame, but the movement will not be rhythmic. It will not be like a train movement. I was very clear that I need continuous rhythmic movement to create the train hangover. Then we thought of hanging the camera on ropes. This will give us movement in two directions, right, left, and forward and backward. But the third direction, up and down, was not happening. That's when the idea of elastic bungee ropes came in, cheap and best. Hanging the camera on bungee ropes gave us movements in all three directions, X, Y, and Z. Next step was making a rig to hang the camera. It's a frame made of slotted angles, and we hang the camera with the help of bungee cords. The bungee cords will create the feeling of a suspended camera without a solid connection with the train body. I'll be able to minimize the train movement affecting the camera. I was trying to make a crude mechanism which mimics the brain program I spoke about earlier. Me and my team visited the train again and took measurements of the corridor, space outside the toilet, space between the seats, etc. We came up with the exact dimensions of a standing rig where we could hang the camera. My grip friend Bhaskar made the rig. We got a cheese plate also made where we could attach the base plate and load the camera on it. We made one more contraption to shoot low angle frames. This was a low base with an extra plate mounted on multiple tension springs. With these two rigs, I could fix the camera anywhere in the train and replicate the movement of the train in my frame. I decided to add one more camera in my package. This camera was parked in the engine compartment to shoot the point of view of the train. There was no point in shooting a dark landscape. So we decided to run the camera only when the train is passing through lit areas like a station. We knew the station lighting would be very weak, not enough exposure. So we decided to run the camera at 12 frames per second. Later we realized that the idea definitely gave us better exposure, but it also gave us the feel of a fast running train. Many of these shots were edited together to create an exciting intro into the scene. Finally, we got the train to shoot. Train means an engine and a few compartments. The train will run from Mumbai to Vadodara at night and it will run back the next night. From Mumbai to Vadodara, the train doesn't cross any city. It just runs through dark, empty, barren landscapes and villages. Very rarely, the train passes some minor stations with very few lights lighting up the station. The Mumbai-Vadodara train running time is just around 6 hours. That means we will get a total of 12 hours to shoot the action sequence, including lighting, setting, rehearsals, and shoot. Well, it was not a very big scene, so theoretically maybe it was possible. But the reality was something else altogether. Since it was an additional train and not in the main train schedule, it kept stopping at unscheduled stations for hours for other trains to pass. So the continuous running train periods we got were very few. Before we finish a shot, the train would slow down and stop at some station. During one of those nights, during one of those stops, while taking a walk through the corridor, I noticed a rectangular plate fitted with 4 screws on the wall of the toilet. I stopped staring at the plate. I have to go into a flashback here. One part of the scene was inside a toilet. You know, the train toilets are very cramped. An actor and a camera cannot be in the same toilet together at the same time. There is no space for that. This is 2005, before the arrival of digital cameras. I was using a 35mm ARRI 435 camera, which was bulky compared to today's small digital cameras. The only option was to shoot that scene with the toilet door open and putting the camera outside. These doors open inwards, so the door will come in my frame. Even if I manage to keep the door out of my frame, the feel of privacy and the feel of the scene will be lost. Without making a set, it was impossible to shoot this part, and we didn't know how to handle it when we started the shoot. The plate fitted with 4 screws was intriguing. I went inside the toilet to see the other side of the plate. There is another plate with 4 screws there also. I got my carpenter to remove the screws and remove the plates. Surprise! I got a peephole into the toilet. The opening was just enough to accommodate my camera lens. The toilet space issue got resolved. In the scene, the character walks into the toilet and locks himself in. Now he waits for the train to start. Since there is no exterior reference, you don't get a visual cue of the exact movement of the train. The floating camera helped me to create the movement of the starting train. After the 2 nights of shooting, we realized we could only can half the scene. Being a low-budget film, our production refused to hire the train for another night. Hiring a running train is very expensive. After a couple of months, the production gave us an offer. They said we can get a compartment parked in the station yard. Just one compartment, no engine, no movement. I jumped at the offer, immediately accepted it. Because I knew I could make the train run on a screen without making the train run on rails. The remaining half of the scene was shot in the yard. Today, when I look at the scene, I can't figure out which portions are shot in the yard and which portions are shot in the running train. They match perfectly well. The movement we created gave the scene an amazing energy. An excellent sound design and edit made it a memorable scene. The film was a sleeper hit and gained a cult status over the time. I derive the basic elements of cinematography like lighting, composition, lensing, etc. from various sources. In this story, I was trying to narrate to you how I devised movement as a strong aspect to narrate a thrilling story. Thanks for watching my channel. Hope you like the story. Keep watching and consider subscribing.